Going on YouTube, Clover Bells here, back with another Scarlet Violet video, and today we're going to be talking about another one of the pseudo legendaries in Goodra. So we've done quite a bit of all the dragon pseudo legendaries. We've done like Salamence, we've done Garchomp already, we've done back Scalper, Dragonite, Hydreigon, but not even Goodra got a sniff of our mention. We put this thing in the D tier, right? But it just recently won a Regulation C tournament, and when I saw that, I was like, what the heck? And I had to click on the team. So basically, this is an EU IC practice tournament over here, and you can see in the top slot, whoever Jumpman23 is, shout outs to you, 8-1 record, and they got it with a Goodra. And before I show you the set, let's talk about Goodra in itself, as far as like what it can do, right? Because that's the first question, right? What can Goodra do, and how did it fare on this 8-1 record team? So basically, if you look at its stats, all right, base 110 special attack, base 150 special defense, right? So it's a modest special attacking sweeper, right? But the special attack is not all that super great. It's above average. It's relatively good. 110 is nice. But the real difference maker is this 150 special defense. So if you consider like some of the best special attackers in the game, they can't really touch Goodra, right? Because if you combine this 150 special defense along with this 90 HP, then the Goodra actually becomes relatively difficult to remove. And the one drawback that it has is, of course, it does just sit there on the field, but then the damage it deals isn't all that great. Okay, but it'll do like good chip, but then that's about it. And the speed tier is about 80, again, like within that Dragonite speed tier. So it's a little interesting, but then you realize that it actually has some niche in the meta, right? And I when I say this, it's not gonna like ground break or meta define what we have right now, but the first aspect of Goodra, besides its stats, where like you can see it does have a place in the meta, is this Sap Sipper, this ability, right? And what this does is, if you're hit by a grass move, you have basically grass immunity, right? And you're gonna get an attack boost from that. But then you realize, well, who's running around with these grass moves that's like super meta? Well, if you think about Amoongus, okay, and then if you think about Chien, right? So basically, what are these things going for? The Amoongus can go for Spore, right? So if you can time in this Goodra switch in, and then the Amoongus tries to click Spore, it's not gonna work. All right, you're just gonna end up boosting the Goodra's attack, and then the Goodra, if it has a flamethrower attack, which I think in most cases you kind of want flamethrower, then you're gonna pressure this Amoongus because he can't really put you to sleep. Then Chien, right? We already know what this thing is going for. It's going for Leech Seed stuff, okay? But then if you realize that Goodra has Sap Sipper, you can't actually click Leech Seed. So now what is Chien doing? Not a whole lot, okay? Yes, you have Ruination, of course, and then you have the occasional Snarls if they, some Chiens run that. But as far as like, Leech Seeding and being on the field and trying to get that passive recovery, it's not gonna work against Goodra. And again, this flamethrower coverage is actually really, really nice, okay? And then you realize, okay, so there's that niche, but is that enough to warrant a slot on a VGC competitive team, right? Because the other dragons are still doing more, despite this, somewhat useful niche ability, okay? But then you realize, wait a second, who else is like a strong special attacker in the meta that Goodra can technically wall? You have Chien, all right, and technically also the Flutter Mane, okay? And you might say, well, I can understand Chien because it's a fire type, and the dark coverage is neutral against, this dragon mono type here. So then, okay, I understand that. But then what's Flutter Mane, right? Flutter Mane's a fairy type. Yes, it is, okay? But then you realize, hold up, we can just Tera Water or Tera Fire Goodra, okay? And then you're kind of just sitting here in front of both the Chien and the Flutter Mane. And then if you just add the Assault Vest to this, which I think is also a very, very good option on the Goodra, then what are these two things doing? Not a whole lot, right? Because now Flutter Mane can't click its fairy move. It's not very effective. This can't click its fire move either. Not very effective. So now you're relying on Ghost Dark coverage to try and chip this Goodra, which is neutral coverage, and you have this Assault Vest, okay? I understand that this has Beads of Ruin, but let me show you certain damage calcs here, okay? So first of all, I think you always go 252 HP Goodra, or you can even just go to 191 just to optimize the sand chip. And then if you have an Assault Vest, look what happens against Chien Flutter Mane. So let me bring you to the damage calculator. Let's put the Assault Vest on this thing, okay? Item Assault Vest, I already had like some of its movesets planned out. So Goodra with the Assault Vest, and then you put this next against a Chien, right? Chien, and I'll even put like choice specs just to show you the sake of it, right? So Chiyu, 252. I'll even do like Modest, right? And then let's do something like Dark Pulse, okay? And you know, that's just like its strongest dark move, okay? And then here, first of all, let's see this. Wait, that's level 100. So like dark, look at this, 29 to 35%. And I didn't even put any HP on this Goodra, by the way. So if I even just consider putting some HP on this Goodra set, right? So here, I had 204 in the damage calculator here. Let's actually put that in. Okay, look, 30% Dark Pulse, guaranteed 4-hit KO against Beads of Ruin Chiyu. Okay, now let's add even choice specs. I don't know how many Chiyu's choice specs are there because you much rather put that on the Flutter Mane, but you know, even this is still like a 2-hit KO, and I didn't even put any special defense investment yet. So you know, that's actually really good. And it's actually 3-hit KO, so that's even better, right? So then you add like the Flutter Mane stuff, right? So let's do that. Standard Flutter Mane. Okay, let's show you the difference. So this is Moonblast. Okay, so first of all, without any investment, you know, Focus Sash in itself, Moonblast is already like a 2-hit KO, right? An Assault Vest Goodra without any special defense investment. All right, so then that means you're guaranteed. So now you put in the choice specs, all right? And then you still live the Moonblast, okay? So now, you know, you're kind of just chilling here. And then now you consider the fact that we can put some special defense investment, and we can actually drop the 60 to 73% damage down even more. And then, of course, if you just change the Tera to like Tera Fire, for example, now you're just like not doing any damage to Goodra. Look at that. It's not even 20%. It just sits in front of these two things, and it kind of just walls it. Okay, so there's that niche that you have going for it, right? And then if you just go down the list and just like look at what's like super popular at the moment, and then you can just go for like coverage moves, which is I think what you want on Goodra, and it has some of the best coverage moves in the game just because, you know, it's a dragon type. Dragon types always get like really good coverage. All right, but before that, let's actually look at the tournament winning team. All right, and let's see what kind of sets it was running. So this is a Chien Pao Scarlet combination right from the get-go, which I like a lot. I like Scarlet with Chien Pao this format because now these Shadow Sneaks combined with Chien Pao are able to pick up KOs against the Flutter Manes, right? Whereas before it didn't. Lava Plume is actually a very interesting tech. Okay, I will say that much. And you might say, why the heck are we clicking Lava Plume? So then you also realize there's a back Scalloper here. And now remember what happens when back Scalloper gets hit with a fire move. It actually just gets a bonus to its attack set. So that's an interesting tech there. It's a Focus S Scarlet set. Totally understandable. All right, and then of course Scissor along with Chien Pao and back Scalloper makes a lot of sense, right? Dragon Steel coverage. You don't have the Fairy type, but you do have Fire, Water, Grass because your Goodra is going to be the Water type here. But Scissor with Bullet Punch, U-Turn, and Quick Attack is actually very interesting. Quick Attack here, I don't know about that one, but you know, I guess you can click it against certain things that can wall a Steel type attack. So you have that option there. U-Turn is pretty good. It's great into the Rune Pokemon, and you know, bug coverage I say is always relatively nice. All right, and then of course Tera Fire, so this way you don't get burned. Really cool set there. The Serena, of course, we talked about this in another video. You're denying priority here. And then, of course, the Tera Fire option is really nice against, you know, first of all, you can't get burned and you resist an opposing fire type attack. So smart coverage there. But again, all these Pokemon right now, they're doing a little bit more damage under Chien Pao's Sword of Ruin. But then you look at the Goodra set here. So it is Sap Sipper, right? But then you have a Wiki Berry, which is very interesting, right? Because then if you look at this, you know, if you consider Wiki Berry, if you're, you know, confuse you if you're a special attack nature, right? I don't know about this one, so that means it might not be a modest natured set. It might even be like just a bulky set in general. So that was interesting to see on this type of Goodra set. I don't know who you are, Jumpman23, but you know, you got some guts there. And then you consider Muddy Water and then Sludge. But Sludge Bomb is actually really interesting. All right, that's good against like some other potential fairy coverage. And then Muddy Water is also really good against some of the fire stuff. Not going to pick up any KO by any means, but again, good chip damage into the Chiyu stuff and other potential fire types, like maybe say like an Arcanine or just like other types, you know, even like a Great Tusk that might be weak to water type attack. So this is actually really interesting. The Thunder Punch, you know, being a physical move on top of this special attacking set, this is actually really brave and adventurous. I'm very much convinced that there must be some attack EVs here, because why else are we running Thunder Punch? I mean, you might consider the electric coverage is like for Gyarados and Palafin stuff, but like, well, you have a Serena for Palafin. I guess for Gyarados, you kind of need something there, but like, you could just run Thunderbolt, but maybe it just doesn't pick up because Goodra's special attack is a little weak, and you know, you can always use the bonus from Chien Pao Thunder Punch combined with that to pick up the KO. So that would be my thought process there as to why I would see it. But like, okay, you know, this kind of works. But like, as far as like our own move coverage, what we can try and do with like Goodra, I would just do something like this. So looking at his team, if you were to actually put like Tailwind on this stuff, what you can do is like just invest maybe like right here, you know, 107. So this way after Tailwind, you can outspeed potential Dragapults. But then, you know, I'll do like the special attack stuff in a second. But like, if you just go with the move coverage here, it gets Draco Meteor, of course. All right, that's really good against Dragonites, Garchomps, Baxcaliburs that are running around. All right. Then you also consider like, whatchamacall, Hydro Pump. Okay, of course, that's a water move. I think Muddy Water is just a little bit better just because, you know, Hydro Pump can miss a little bit. Ice Beam is also really nice for those dragons and also other flying types, other grass types in general. Yeah, so with like the Life Dew again, you're just able to like, you know, passively recover over time and just keep dealing chip damage behind all your bulk. So that's one idea there. Then if you keep going down this list, again, you did see Sludge Bomb over here, so that's really nice. Stomping Tantrum is also an interesting physical tech move. Goodra gets a lot of physical tech moves, which are actually really nice. Thunderbolt, again, you know, for those Palafins, for those Gyarados, if you don't have like a reliable grass type on your team. So I think that makes a lot of sense. Then if you keep going down here, of course, Acid Spray is interesting. You know, you can drop special defenses by 2, but you know, there are other Pokemon that can do this job a little bit better, like Iron Moth. So if you're gonna do that route, I would rather just do Iron Moth in that sense. Mudshots is interesting, you know, speed control there, but I don't think that's really worth it on this kind of slot. But yeah, this would be it. Like Flamethrower, Draco Meteor, Thunderbolt, and then like maybe a Muddy Water kind of tech move over here. And then you can just do like an Assault Vest stuff. Okay, this would be my option here. You know, if you want to just remove the dragon coverage altogether and just go for like another solid coverage move, like Ice Beam for that matter, you know, you can definitely do that. But Goodra covers a lot of the meta that's running around. You have the water move for like, you know, Chi-Yus, Arcanines for that matter, Thunderbolts for the, you know, the water types that, you know, are still there, the Draco Meteors for the dragon coverage against, you know, the popular dragons that are running around, and Flamethrower good against Wo-Chien, Amoongus, you know, it's the stuff that's also going for like Terra Grass to avoid you, right? And then you just keep going for this chip damage over time, you know, sitting in front of opponents with the Assault Vest and then just dealing a bunch of damage, right? So then I would just go like, you know, something like this with the Modest Assault Vest set. Where's your benchmark here? Is it 163? All right, so something like this, right? And then you don't really need special defense. You can just do something like this, just like be a very bulky Goodra, you know, and then just couple this with Tailwind, and then you kind of just sit there, and then you're just constantly dealing chip damage over time, right? And again, against the Wo-Chien stuff, Amoongus, you know, Sap Sipper is really, really nice. All right, you know, just for that matter. So what I would do is like, you can even just pivot it in, take in that attack, and then just go from there, right? But then you might realize, oh wait, if I'm gonna be doing that, why not just go like a physical set? So if you want a physical set, then you can also consider these moves, right? If you wanted to go physical. So I would just do like Adamant in that sense instead of like Modest. So do I have the benchmark here? I think I do. Yeah, so I still get the benchmark here. So then what would a physical Goodra set look like? Bulldoze is interesting, like speed control, maybe next to like a Talonflame for that matter, or some other flying type. Dragon Claw, you know, that's also an option. You can also, ooh, this is interesting, right? It also gets like Dragon Tail, so you force the opponent to switch. So if you're laying out Toxic Spikes, for example, with your Glamor, maybe that can come in handy, but sometimes that's a little inconsistent. Fire Punch is there, and then Outrage. Oh, Outrage. Oh yeah, so we're dead. Outrage is also there. And again, you did have the Stomping Tantrum coverage. We did see that. Oh, Power Whip is interesting. So if you don't have like that reliable grass coverage, that's also there. Stomping Tantrum, we did mention, is also in there. Like Fire Punch, again, like we mentioned. But this also gets like some steel moves, I think, right? I think we passed it. Rock Slide, not worth it, in my opinion. I think there's better options if you're trying to go like Rock Slide style. Thunder Punch is there rather than Fire Punch. So you also have that. And then, does it have other moves? Ooh, Giga Impact. Okay, I don't know about that one. All right, what else do we have here in terms of like physical sets? Pretty interesting. He's got a really, really large move. I think this is like okay if I had to go for like an an Assault Vest set, right? And if you don't like Outrage here, you can definitely do like Dragon Claw. But like the whole idea is, you know, if you're getting that Grass boost to boost your attack, you know, then you might as well just go like physical moves. So, you know, if you want to go special or physical, either way, you know, the Amoongus Wo-Chien stuff is not going to be good against you. And then at the very least, you can sit in front of some of the Treasures of Ruin Pokemon and then, you know, just, you know, take their damage. Chien Pao might be something to consider worrying about just because, you know, the ice coverage is really good against you. But again, you have the Tera Fire over here. So you are in that sense forced to Tera, but again, you do have the coverage against it, right? Because if you're going for like Flamethrower or Fire Punch instead of the Thunder Punch over here, so then you have that going for you in that sense, right? So yeah, that's it for now. I just wanted to like spotlight Goodra because it was really interesting to like see Goodra on this like top cut team, and I know it's very niche and it's not gonna like break the meta or anything like that, but again, if you had to say I wanted to use Goodra, where can I find a use for it? I just explained it, right? You have that niche with the Sap Sipper, and then I would just go like pretty standard stuff here, you know, with just Amoongus Arcanine and then maybe some Tailwind user and maybe Flutter Mane slapped on it, right? You can't really go wrong with this core, right? Arcanine, Amoongus, Flutter Mane, and then some other water type like Palafin, for example, right? And then you could even put in Chien Pao here or some other Tailwind user for that matter and just make it into like a balanced squad. But, you know, I would probably think a little bit more on how to like really use Goodra on a team. But at very least, you know, you still have those fire, water, grass options that you can consider. But this is actually a really, really good way to try and reutilize Goodra. I don't know how often they brought it into their games, but hey, I'm sure it had some use, right? You can't go 8-1 and not bring it a single time, right? So, yeah, that'll be it for now, folks. Let me know what you think of Goodra in the competitive format at the moment. If you've tried Goodra, feel free to share your ideas on how you've been able to use it. But I think Sap Sipper was an interesting tech choice. And again, that special defense is actually really nice against some of the big special attackers. All right, so that'll be it. We'll be back with another video in the next one, guys. Peace out and have a good one.